After numerous failed attempts at learning new things, you may give up, thinking you just aren't smart enough or gifted enough to succeed. So it was with our next speaker, who had nearly given up trying, only to stumble upon a real breakthrough in his ability to learn. Tonight, you will be presented with that breakthrough, so you too can apply it in your own life. And when you do, you may just find yourself learning and succeeding at things you once thought were beyond your own abilities. With a speech titled 3 Important Letters, estimated to be about 10 to 12 minutes, please welcome Rocky Mitchell.
Mr. Toastmaster. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. There you go. You've all had an experience just like that. Maybe not with the juggling balls, but somewhere in the past, you tried to learn something, maybe a school subject, or you tried to get a new skill for a hobby or a job. But no matter how much you put into it, you just couldn't learn that subject or grasp the concept, so you gave up. Maybe you thought you weren't smart enough or gifted in those areas. Tonight you're going to leave here with 3 important letters. Those letters are going to change the way you think about learning. They may even open opportunities for you that you never thought possible before. And they're going to change your experiences that were once frustration and failure to satisfaction and success. When I was a kid, I was fascinated with people who could juggle. I always wanted to learn. Not that I wanted to go away and join the circus, although some in the back row there might suggest I do such. But I just wanted to learn something that was really complicated and cool. So, as I grew up, I made a couple feeble attempts at juggling, but they just ended in frustration and failure. Not so many years ago, my family and I were traveling. We stopped into a gift shop. It was one of those shops that sold toys that were educational. And on the shelf, I found a juggling kit. That kit contained 3 juggling balls in this book. I went home after the trip, and I read the book cover to cover. Then I picked up those juggling balls, and I did exactly what this book told me to do. Once again, it ended up in frustration and failure. Then my wife said to me, "Give it up, you're too old to learn how to juggle." And as you guessed it, that was just the kick in the pants that I needed to move on to the next level. So I went online and I searched, there's got to be a way to learn how to juggle. And go figure, somebody actually produces videos on how to juggle. So I purchased one of these videos, put it in the TV, got out my juggling balls, and now I watched as an instructor told me, take that one juggling ball and just toss it from one hand to the other, till it's consistent and you feel comfortable with it. Then the next step is you take 2 balls. You throw one a little bit higher than the other, and the other just a little below it, and you count 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then the next step he showed me was with 3 balls. Same principle, but the 3rd one goes underneath the other 2 while they're in midair, and you count to 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. is I stumbled onto my learning style. Learning style? I didn't know there were learning styles. It turns out, as far as I know, there are three basic styles of learning. Visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Those who learn by visual are those who see. Auditory people learn by hearing. Kinesthetic people are a little tougher, but they learn by hands-on. Now, to illustrate this, if you were to go on a trip, what's the first thing you do? Pull out a map and you would follow the map to your destination? If so, you might be visual. Or do you call someone up and say, hey, how do we get to that spot again? You might be an auditory learner because you're listening, you're waiting for somebody to tell you. Or do you just get into the car and drive? You're going to figure it out. That's like most men, apparently. They won't ask directions. But those people are typically kinesthetic. Or hands-on or tactile, sometimes it's called. How about when you make a recipe? Is your first thought is, I'll go get the recipe book and I'll look it up? It's probably visual. Or is your first thought, I want to make something. Oh yeah, my sister-in-law or my mother-in-law, I'm going to call them up. You might be auditory. Or you just pull out the utensils and get all the stuff out and start mixing away. You might be kinesthetic. How about if you get a new toy like a electronic device? You call up your little nephew with the big glasses and have him instruct you how. That might be an auditory clue. You pull out the instructions. That might be a visual clue. Or you just turn on that thing and move the dials and pull the cords until it blows smoke. You might be kinesthetic. Do you find yourself saying some things such as, I see what you mean, or show me, or watch how I do this? That might be a clue that you're visual. Or, I hear what you're saying. Tell me more. Or listen to me as I explain this to you. You might be an auditory learner. Or how about this? I know how you feel. Well, let me give it a try. Or, now you have a go. That might be a clue that you're a kinesthetic learner. As a Toastmaster, let's make it practical here. When you listen to somebody give a speech, and they are very static, placed behind this lectern, and they are speaking only. Very little movement or gestures. They may be reading their speech to you, or they may have it memorized, but it's just words. And if you are able to grasp everything in that speech, you might be an auditory learner. And blessings to you, because I can't pick it up if it's just someone speaking. Now, if that person starts to gesture, tells you how far it was that I had to go on that trip, or how big that tree was that I cut down, maybe how tall that building was that we went into. Maybe that person stages, and they come over here and they talk to this side of the audience about a man named John. And then as they get further into the story, they talk about a lady named Jane. And then in the middle of the story, they point over here. You understand this is John and this is Jane. That's called staging. If you are able to listen to that speech and you grasp those stages or those big gestures more than anything else, perhaps you're visual. Now the kinesthetic people in speaking, again, is a little tougher. But those are the people that when you ask the question to participate, their hand goes up because they want to take part. There are other ways of getting your audience involved, but another way, the easiest way, is if you speak about your subject with passion. You really love what you're talking about. Or there's great emotion, like Paula just had. That grabs those kinesthetic people by the heart because it's a feeling. So it's important to keep that in mind when you're speaking. How is it that you can learn what your learning style is? Those three important letters are V-A-K. I would write them down, or somehow commit them to memory. V-A-K. And when you go home tonight or tomorrow, get on the internet and type in V-A-K learning. And you'll find a number of websites that will offer you a questionnaire that looks like this. Go on there, and it takes about 10 to 20 minutes at most, and it's really fun. All multiple choice questions. Do all those questions. At the end, hit calculate, and it will figure out your percentages. Everybody, as I understand, is a certain percentage of all of these. You might be very high visual, very high auditory or kinesthetic, or a combination of these two, or you might be right across the board, lucky you, 33% of each one. I happen to be high visual and high kinesthetic, so if somebody is speaking to me, a lot of times it goes right over my head. But when they start to draw pictures, or they use objects for movement, and I can work along with it, suddenly I grasp the concept. Keep this in mind. Not only is this something to benefit you as learning, but as a speaker, your audience is filled with people who are amongst all three of these. If you just stand behind the lectern and you speak, you're reaching all those people who can receive the auditory input, and most of us can receive some of that for sure. But you're losing those people who are visual and kinesthetic. It's when you gesture, and your gestures have to be meaningful, and your movement has to be meaningful, just not across the board. That's more frustrating and annoying. But if your movement is with purpose, then you're grabbing on to those people who are visual. And if you can ask people to raise their hands, or participate in some way, or if you can speak with passion or emotion, then you grasp those kinesthetic people. You put all three of those in, and you will connect with the maximum number of people in your audience. And that's what we all want to do. We don't want to leave anybody out. So learn what your learning style is. Put it into practice for your own learning good, and put it into practice into your speeches for the good of your audience. One last thing. I don't know that this is all written in stone. I have heard that there is opposition. Everything has an opposing viewpoint. I think that BAK is used quite fluently across the board in teaching now, but there are some who say that its value is limited. I'm not an expert, not speaking from that point of view. I'm speaking from the point of view of what it did for me. And what it did for me was miraculous. And I gotta think it will do a lot of good for you as well. So if you will, learn what your learning style is, and you'll put it into practice and test it, you're going to find, first of all, that you're probably a lot smarter and a lot more gifted than you ever thought. And you're going to find opportunities of learning opening up to you that you never had before. And you also discover that what was once frustration and failure will now become satisfaction